All right. So thank you everyone for being here. I'm Doris Jean, the teen librarian at Steele Library. And our guest today is Laura Zern from the Chemung County Youth Bureau. And she's here to tell us all about summer youth employment and how to get that job for teens. So thank you, Laura, for being here.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me. So my name's Laura Zern again. I'll actually start out with introductions. I actually can't watch the chat and be on the PowerPoint at the same time. So I can't see if people are saying things, but I'll start off with my introduction. So again, my name is Laura Zern. I work at the Chemung County Youth Bureau as a youth program coordinator. I actually think I know a couple of you that are in here. I've been working for the Chemung County Youth Bureau as the coordinator for 5 years now. I think I've done this presentation maybe 3 other times. I hope you guys end up learning at least a few things by the end of it. We will. I don't know what the red splash is, but okay. So I want to start out just by talking. I'm sure you guys know the next bullet points that I will be going over. I just want to talk about the obvious benefits of working. So of course, at a young age, so you can actually start working at the age of 14. If you start that early, it's great to be able to build your work experience, make connections through any part-time work or even full-time. I don't foresee anyone that's in school full-time being able to work a full-time job, so we'll just talk about part-time employment for now. Of course, it's a constructive use of your free time. You, of course, will gain independence. And then I'm sure the biggest thing of all is you'll be able to have your own money, which is fantastic. You can start saving for things, whether that's a car, some school clothes, or what have you. But of course, I think we knew most of these things, but what do we actually start with? So those of you who have never had a job before, I always suggest starting out with getting your working papers. So these are for any youth between the ages of 14 and 17. You will need these to legally work. And this is something that you can obtain from your nurse at school or at the administration building on Washington Street. So if you don't already have them, it's super important to get those before, I would say really before you even apply. Sometimes it can take a little bit. So if you are 14 or 15 years of age, you will receive a blue working paper. And when I say working paper, it's like a little, I would say 3x5 card. If you're 16 or 17, you will receive a green working card. In order to receive this from your nurse at school, they will need to have evidence that you've received an updated physical from your doctor. So updated means within the past year. So all you have to do is once you have that physical done, go to your nurse's office or the administration building, tell them that you want your working papers. They will give you, it's a white sheet of paper. They'll give that to you, you fill it out. And then once you return that is when you get either your blue or your green card. So number one thing to start out with, getting your working papers. Step number 2, so now that we have those in hand, we're able to legally work. I think the next best thing would be to actually start your job search. So a good way to do this is search on Indeed. I know that obviously when you go to stores or places like McDonald's or Walmart, they actually have signs for help wanted. You can always be looking out for those. Of course, it is more difficult the younger you are to get a job at these local businesses. So I tried to come up with a list of places that you can work by age. So you do have to be on the older end, so like 16 or 17 to work food service or do anything with lawn care. And then really once you turn 18, you can pretty much do about anything. So I didn't touch on that for anyone who's 18 in here. But a list of places that we came up with for 14 and 15-year-olds would be checking out your local grocery stores, any ice cream shops, usually hire at a younger age, babysitting, maybe retail stores. A lot of the time they will hire younger teenagers around the holiday season. So that's also something to look out for. As well as if you're ever interested in becoming a lifeguard, I know that they're always looking for lifeguards at like Harris Hill Pool, the West Elmira Town Pool, Park Station, anywhere like that. And sometimes they do pay for your training to be done as well. So, but for that, you do have to be 15. So that's 15 and up. And then summer youth employment, that is for youth ages 14 through 20. I will also talk about that on the next slide. So just to kind of get your mind going, here's some different places that would hire on the younger side of teenagers. So I had mentioned the summer youth employment program. So that is a program that I run. It is an income eligible program. So that means that you would either have to be receiving SNAP, HEAP, Medicaid, or any type of cash assistance. Or if you aren't receiving any of those services, I can always check by your household income. So if you're kind of unsure, you can always apply, and then we can check for that after if you are interested. Again, for ages 14 through 20, it is a 6-week program. We run it throughout the summer. This year, we happen to be running from July 6th through August 13th. And what we do is we partner with, I would say, roughly 50 work sites throughout Chemung County. And these could be places like Pudgy's Pizza. We actually partner with the library. We partner with Chemung County Nursing Facility. We partner with the Summer Cohesion Program, as well as we partner with a lot of the schools in the area for our youth to help the custodians throughout the summer. And how we place people is you would actually go through a full application process at chemungyouth.com, which I have right up here on the screen. If anyone is interested in applying, you would go through the whole application process, and then you would actually be contacted to go through an interview. It's a fairly basic interview, and we really just ask you for your interest, maybe how you would handle certain situations. And then we ask you about your transportation and what that looks like for you over the summer. And then we actually place you based on your interests and your transportation. So if anyone is interested in that, applications are due by April 30th. So the end of this month, we still have about a week to get those in. And of course, if anyone has any questions specifically about that program, I can always try to answer those for you. But just another option for younger youth in the community. So we've done our job search. We know where we would like to apply. So the next step would be filling out a job application. So with me not really being able to see the chat, I do want to ask if anyone has ever filled out a job application before, and whether that is on paper or maybe online. I know a lot of places have switched to online, but you can put in the chat and I can see it at some point, whether you filled out a job application before.
I can watch
Most
the
times,
video for you.
okay, thank you. Are we getting any responses on
Yep. So far, someone says they have not filled out an application before.
that? Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you. I just wanted to see kind of what we're
Someone else says
working with.
they haven't either filled out a job application.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So it's usually a pretty simple process. Most times a job application is the employer's first impression of you. So making sure that you're being truthful, reading the whole application first. So making sure that you are understanding what they're actually asking of you before just going through and filling out what you think they want. Always be sure to use a blue or black pen. There shouldn't really be any markers or pencil, anything like that. Blue or black ink looks professional and neat. Of course, print neatly and completely, as neatly as you possibly can. Have a phone number. We run into this quite often. If you change your phone number or even your address, just making sure if you are filling out those job applications and turning them in, that you keep that place of employment updated on those, because that's usually their number one way of reaching you for an interview. So sometimes if they don't update that, they're kind of stuck on how to even get in contact with you. So, and then the last thing, and we'll talk about this here in a little bit as well, but of course, having permission from 3 references. So before you're even applying for these jobs, a reference would be someone that a potential employer could call and just say, hey, how is, I don't know, have you ever employed Bob before, or how is Bob to work with? Just someone that would say good things about you, and kind of have your back when an employer is looking to hire you. So my biggest thing though is to make sure that you have permission from those people before actually writing down their name and number on an application, because you don't ever want anyone to be caught off guard. So what will actually be asked for on an application? I went through and I thought about the general information they'll ask. Of course, not every application is exactly the same, but I tried to get together a list of general things that usually every application asks for. So of course, they will ask for some type of personal information. So that could be your name, address, phone number. Again, making sure if you ever change your phone number, keep it updated. Sometimes they will ask for your social security number, email address, possibly, but just any type of personal information that you should already know about yourself. Then they usually ask for work history. So this is just where you've worked before. And then that's usually starting with the most recent. So if I were to ever fill out another job application, my first work experience would be Chemung County Youth Bureau on there. And then I'd go back to the years prior. So I get this question a lot because I know for a good chunk of 14-year-olds, you've probably never worked before or filled out an application at all. My screen. Okay. So, and then of course, so along with the education piece, so any technical courses, even if not completed, you can say that you are currently attending. Of course, you will, if you're in high school, you will put your, where you go to high school, usually the address, and then the year that you are currently in. One thing I will say, you typically don't go any further back than high school. So you won't really list your middle school or your elementary school. You pretty much start from high school on, and you'll list, like if you go to a technical school or a college, if that's what you choose, that will also go on there. Other questions that may also be asked. So they may even ask for your availability on the application. This could be for either interviewing or actually working. So, and it's good to always be honest about that. Don't say that you can work during the day when you're actually supposed to be attending school, because that could really mess up any plans that they have to actually hire you and use you during that time. And then again, other questions that they could ask would be about any references. So the professional references that we were talking about earlier, this is where they could ask for those. So they usually just ask for the name of a reference, their phone number, and then what their relationship is to you. My words of advice for that would be to not use anyone that is family. So this could be anyone like a guidance counselor, a favorite teacher that you have, maybe a coach, anyone that you can think of professionally that would be able to put in a good word for you. And then the last thing I could think of was any type of licensing information. So if you have your driver's license, sometimes they will ask for the number on your driver's license. And again, this is more for any type of driving position that you could be applying for.
Laura, I think the internet kicked out when you were talking about what to write if you have no work experience. For work history, would it be like volunteering or?
Okay, yes. I'm sorry, I didn't realize I cut out that early. So yeah, so if you do not have any type of work experience, which is very typical for anyone just entering the workforce, please make sure to use volunteer experience. It does not have to be paid experience. It actually shows a lot more if you are doing this volunteer work for no pay. So if you've ever volunteered at a specific event, or you continually volunteer at like the SPCA or anywhere you could possibly think of, that would be beneficial for you to write down. Absolutely, don't skip out on any of that stuff. Don't leave it blank if you do have any type of volunteer. All right. So, and then usually at the bottom, there is a signature section. It typically includes any type of statement stating that everything that you've written on this application is true. And then you would be expected to sign that. So that's usually at the bottom. So I know some of you are a little farther away from the screen. The next slide might be a little bit difficult. I'm gonna try to get up the chat and see if I can use this at the same time. Okay, there we go. Okay, so again, if this is a little bit difficult to see, I apologize. I just took a sample application. This is a fake one. It has no real information on it other than the name. But I just want to go through. Oh, I'm looking at the chat now, Doris, or the library. Yes, if you've ever volunteered at the library too, you absolutely should write that on your application. Okay, so again, we have a sample application here. I'd like to go through line by line and have you guys tell me anything that you see that might be a little off, or something that's just not right on here. So for those of you who are kind of closer to the screen, you see anything wrong with that first line? It says name, and then Harry Kondaris is what is written on there. Oh, so we got a question in the chat regarding the summer youth employment application. So a few slides back, I can post that at the end if you want me to. It is chemungyouth.com. I'll type it right in here if you are interested in applying for that program. All right. Okay, so we did get a few responses here. All right, so we got that he put his first name where the last name is supposed to go and then vice versa. So yes, that would be the very first thing that he messed up a little bit on, and that could easily be helped by just going through the whole application first and seeing what they're actually asking of you. How about that next line where it says address and then it says Harris Hill, Elmira, New York, 14905? Can anyone see anything that might be wrong with that? Okay, yeah, so Darren had mentioned the state abbreviation. So a lot of the times on applications, you should be writing things out fully. So making sure you don't have any abbreviations. Yep. Anyone notice anything else on that second line? I don't want someone to be typing and then I say it out loud. So, okay, yes, so we have Elmira is not capitalized. I know this stuff seems probably pretty minuscule while we're talking about it, but when you're getting in like 20 or 30 applications even, a lot of the times companies will pass the ones that have these little mistakes on them for the applications that are more complete and grammatically correct. So the third thing on that line where it says street, so they missed putting in their actual house number. So there should be a house number. Oh, that's okay. Thank you guys for coming though. Thank you very much. All right, so that next thing would be absolutely, and this is being recorded, so if you guys would like to watch the rest, I'm sure Doris will be posting it. Okay, thank you. All right, so like I said, yeah, the house number is missing on that second line. That's super important. How we do our application process is we actually usually send letters to people to with their hiring paperwork packet. So if we don't even have an address to send, that's probably not a good thing. Okay, so make sure you're filling these things out completely. How about that third line where it says age, date of birth, social security number? Yes, so Darren said age is hard to read. It's super hard to read. So if you ever make a mistake, the best thing that you can do is just put one simple line through it. You don't have to do anything crazy like scratch it all the way out so no one can see what you put underneath. Just one simple line and then write what you actually intended to write on there. Same for his social security number. It is also sloppy towards the end. Yeah, so those last four numbers you really can't read at all. Does anyone else notice anything with the social security number? So, okay, so maybe it is backwards. So I was kind of thinking, so yep, so there's the wrong amount of numbers. The first number is supposed to be 3. Yes, so you are correct. Yep, so there's supposed to be 3 numbers in that on that first little line. 2 numbers on the second line, which is correct, and then 4 numbers on the last line. It should be written exactly how it's seen on your social security number or on your social security card. So just making sure you're looking out for things like that. That just has an extra number in it, so we wouldn't even know which numbers are the correct ones. So next line down, so with the phone number, anyone see anything wrong with that? It's lacking, yeah, it's definitely lacking digits, no area code, just all around not correct. So yes, that's not correct at all. Instead of writing for the cell, do you think there's something that they could have done differently for that cell number instead of writing the word same? Okay, they absolutely could have rewritten it. I'm also thinking they possibly could have written N/A for not applicable. So either they just don't have a cell phone number or they accidentally wrote their cell phone number in the home number. But yep, they could do, yes, thank you. Thank you, Doris. Yep, so writing it just like how Doris has it in the chat, always acceptable. I would much rather see that than see just a blank spot. So making sure you're filling in every single possible thing you can. One thing I will mention with the, yep, means not applicable. So one thing I will mention with the gender piece, this is an old application. I'm not even going to ask you what's wrong with it. In the past, it would have been that they didn't even mark anything. I do want to say that we added, so there's now male, female, other, or it's like not, they can put down other or they don't want to answer. So we're just going to leave the gender piece alone. But then, so when we go down to the next piece where it says ethnicity, please check 1. What do you think is wrong with that? He circled instead of checking. I know some of this stuff seems a little bit nitpicky, but again, the application is really our first chance to see that we can give you direction and you're able to follow that. So yep, making sure you check it instead of circling it. Then I know Darren had mentioned this one earlier as well, the school currently attending. It is abbreviated as EHS. Now, if I were to get this application in, I would probably know what it means because I'm from here. Not everyone will be in that situation. So just make sure you're writing everything out as it actually is and not abbreviating anything. Same with the next piece. They circled instead of checked. So just making sure that you are putting the correct thing in. It does say that Harry did not work. And then in the next part, it says, if yes, where did you work? So he really shouldn't have even put anything in there, but then he did decide to put ain't work in there. He probably should have just left that blank. So that shouldn't even say anything. And then, so that next section where it says, please have a parent or guardian complete the section below, it's completely left blank. So you should be writing something in there or checking something on there, as well as the next 2 statements under that, because that's really just asking if they can be included in photographs throughout the summer or throughout our program. So they just left that completely blank. That to us, we normally just check as no anyways, if it's left blank. So, and then the very last one, they didn't even consent to a background check, which typically doesn't look good if someone's not consenting to that. But I think they really just didn't read it and just fully skipped over it. So then with the signatures, does anyone see anything kind of wacky with that? Okay. Okay, so maybe the print is still kind of cursive, and it's a little bit hard to read. That is very true. Um, and I was also looking for, it's actually reversed. So you'll see where it says youth, please print. You might not be able to see it. It is pretty small on here. But they were supposed to print their name in on the first line and then sign on the second line. So they reversed that. So just make sure you're looking out for that. And then I'm not quite sure if you can see the bottom, but does anyone see anything else on here that probably should not have been done? I don't want to steal anyone's thunder if they're typing, but so if you can't see it at the bottom, it has a little box that says office use only. So yeah, so Darren said the word good on there. He should have just left that blank. Again, office use only. So that should be completely blank when it comes back to us. So, all right, well, thank you for participating in that. We will move on from job applications as long as no one has, oh wait, no, we won't be moving on from applications, I apologize. I just had a few side notes for applications. I forget, I always try to talk to people about this. So one big thing that we run into very often, we do ask for people's email addresses. Your email, when you're handing this in on an application to a potential employer of yours, it should always be an appropriate and or professional email that you're sending in. If you want to have an email address that's just for personal use or getting coupons or whatever you use your email address for, absolutely that's fine. But I would just create a second one for any type of job applications or professional things that you might want to do. So that could just be an example of a professional one. For me, might be like lzern1@yahoo.com or something along those lines. So really just using a combination of initials and maybe like your last name would be a good example. All right, so if you hand in an application with any contact information that ends up changing, be sure to update the employer. I know I mentioned that earlier too. Another thing that I'm just speaking about all of this from a little bit of experience, be sure that your voicemail is also appropriate. So if I call someone to schedule an interview, and I don't mean professional in a, like I've ever come across a totally inappropriate voicemail, but I've come across some that will say hello. And then I'm sitting there having a full conversation with them and they're like, huh, just kidding, leave a voicemail. That's really more, I would say things like that for like your friends. I would just put a more appropriate or professional voicemail up on your phone. So, and that could really just be as simple as, hello, you've reached Laura Zern. Please leave your name and number and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks. Really all, but I just like to mention that one because I run into that quite a bit as well. And then of course, after handing in an application, sometimes businesses will get busy. They won't constantly be looking at new applications that are coming in. It's always a great idea to follow up with the employer about 3 to 4 days after you apply. Just you can call in and say, hello, my name is Laura Zern. I handed in an application on Monday or whatever day you handed it in. I'm just calling to check on the status of that application. And sometimes that jogs people's memories. And a good amount of the time that will be the phone call where they'll actually just schedule your interview. So, or it'll at least get them thinking about it. So it's always a good idea to follow up just in case it slipped their mind. Okay, so job interviews. So we've handed in our application. Now we've followed up with our employer or our potential employer, and we are looking to go to a job interview that we've scheduled. How many of you guys, I know there's only a couple of you in here now, and I know one of them definitely has. Have any of you gone through any job interviews and were they in person or virtual? If you, okay. I don't see any responses, but again, okay. So I know one of you definitely has, so that's a good thing, but I'll just go over a brief job interview to-do list or checklist. So it's always a great idea before a job interview to pick out a clean, neat, and appropriate outfit. What to wear. So a lot of the times this will depend on what job you are applying for or interviewing for. But good examples of things that you can wear would be any type of like khaki pants, black dress pants, possibly a button-up dress shirt with a tie. You don't always have to wear a tie, but it's good to at least wear a clean or neat like button-up or polo shirt, a blouse, just making sure that it's not low cut, or a dress and or skirt. And of course, making sure that it's the appropriate length, and then any type of dress shoes or just nicer shoes. They don't really have to be super dressy shoes. But one thing I don't like on this chart would be on the what not to wear side would be jeans. I've had people come in to interviews in jeans, and I'm not going to be super picky about it. But again, it's all about what job you're applying for. And the positions that I interview people for are more casual positions. So people do come in jeans, and I'm not going to take points away from them for doing that. But I would stay away from any type of like super baggy pants or short shorts. You really shouldn't be wearing baseball caps. It again mentions sneakers on here. I think as long as they're nice sneakers, you can wear them. I would stay away from flip-flops probably. Really should stay away from pajama bottoms or tops for that matter. Any type of see-through shirts or shirts containing slogans or inappropriate messages. You shouldn't be wearing these to interviews. Of course, you can wear makeup, jewelry, or perfume. I just would make sure that it's not super excessive, so that it's not distracting during your interview. Of course, before your job interview, practice introducing yourself if you've never done it before. This could just be a nice firm handshake, making eye contact with your interviewer, saying, "Hi, my name is Laura Zern. Nice to meet you." They'll normally say their name back to you, but that it's as simple as that. Just practice introducing yourself. Consider possible interview questions. So this is a good time to really think about what they might be asking you. You guys are in a great time where you can just go on Google and kind of quiz yourself beforehand, and they usually have some good answers online. I did go through and I got a few. One typical interview question could be, so tell me a little bit about yourself. You don't want to be sitting there and telling them your whole life story, but you can absolutely give them any type of relevant facts about any education you've had, your current career or what school you're going to, and your current life situation are fine. Just making sure you're not getting too carried away. They could also say, tell me what you know about this company. I think it is a great idea to do your research before going to your interview. So research the company that you're interviewing with. They could ask you questions about specific programs they have or specific policies that they have. And if you brushed up on this history, you should be able to answer those questions right away. Another two that they could ask would be, what's your greatest strength and what's your biggest weakness? So of course, this has to be personal to you. For your strength, again, this is your time to shine. You could be someone who thrives under pressure, maybe a great motivator, an amazing problem solver, or someone with extraordinary attention to detail. The interviewer is looking for work-related strengths. So again, these are just traits that you should know about yourself before walking into this interview. The biggest weakness question is a little bit more tricky. You can give a small work-related flaw that you're working hard to improve. So a little example would be, I've been told I occasionally focus on details and miss the bigger picture. So I've been spending time laying out the complete project every day to see my overall progress. So you are giving a weakness, but you're also saying how you're currently trying to fix that. So those are just a few typical questions. And then, so during your interview, so this is a little bit before, but making sure that you're arriving 10 minutes early at the very least. I wouldn't show up a whole hour early, but a 10 minutes early is a good way to start. So we talked about introducing yourself, so handshake included, make eye contact, and then of course, after your interview, thank them for their time. They should, at your interview, be giving you some type of next step. So they should be telling you, you'll be hearing from me by next Wednesday. If they don't, that's a valid question to ask at the end of your interview. All right, and then another step for after your interview, it's always a great idea to send a thank you email 1 to 2 days after your interview. You can find several post-interview samples online to help get you started. So just thanking them for their time, saying that you're looking forward to hearing from them. This is also where you could slide in a few questions that maybe popped in your head after your interview that you didn't think to ask. But this is always a great idea. So again, gets them thinking about actually having you in that position. So that was so we've gone through working papers, job searches. I went through the program that I run. We went through job applications and then job interviews. Does anyone have any questions at all for me pertaining to jobs? Maybe I didn't touch on something today that you were thinking I was going to talk about. If you have any questions at all, you can definitely put them in the chat, or I can also, I'm going to put my email in the chat in case anyone has a question that they maybe again popped in their head after the workshop.
Laura, this is Doris Jean. Can I add something?
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want to remind everyone that here at the Teen Space at Steele Library, we have a career, college and career corner. So if you want to look up books on, what color is my parachute for teens, that gives advice on job hunting. That's a resource that we have here. And there's also a great website called Career One Stop. I'll put that in the chat. And there's a section for teens on there, and it gives you anything from resume tips to how do I figure out what kind of career or job I want. And that's a good resource as well, as of course Laura is as well. So I encourage you to look at that as well, and I'll put that in the chat.
Yes, thank you for that. You said, I know you're going to put it in the chat. I'm going
Yeah.
to check that out.
Career One Stop.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, .org, sorry, .org.
Career One Stop. I will definitely check that out. So if no one has any questions, you again feel free to email myself. It's lzern@chemungcountiny.gov. If you're looking to apply for the Summer Youth Employment Program, that's chemungyouth.com. I put that in the chat too, up above a little bit, but are we all set then? No one has any questions?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Darren.
Yep.
All right. So thank you guys so much for attending. Thank you for having me, Doris.
You betcha. Thanks, Laura, for being our guest expert here. We can't do it without you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you guys. We will talk soon.
Yep, and I will post this and let you guys know when the recording's available. So I'll keep you posted.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Okay, take care, everybody.
Yes.
Bye.
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 Bye.